We're swapping cams and burning the balonies. First, as our diesel NighTrain project gets paid off at the drag strip. Then we'll walk you through an engine upgrade on this Silverado. Today's truck tech is a hot one.
Today is an exciting day at Truck Tech. We're going to finish up the last few details on Project NighTrain and finally get this thing out on the road and make some smoke.
We're also going to kick off a new project called White Noize. We're going to take this bone stock 2010 LS powered Silverado and we're going to transform it into a high performance yet daily driven street missile.
Well, don't get carried away just yet. Before you start tearing into another motor, what do we have left to do on NighTrain?
Well, we got to throw a drive shaft in it. It's not going to go very far without one of those.
And I think the last paint issue I want to address is that oxidized roof. I definitely think we can take care of that.
Let's get to it. All the power in the world won't do you any good unless you've got a good quality drive shaft to send it to the ground. Because our truck has an Allison 1000 transmission with a fixed output yoke and a custom Dana 60 axle, a special driveline was required for our project. We took a couple measurements and we gave Denny's drive shaft a call. They sent us this 3.5-inch 1410 off-road slip yoke drive shaft. To cope with the torque of the Duramax, Denny uses genuine Dana Spicer 1410X sealed universal joints, which are stronger than standard greasable ones. They have a lifetime seal so water and dirt won't get in, and because they're not drilled for a Zerk fitting, there's no weak point for cracks to start. The drive shaft is computer balanced so it will operate smoothly at high speeds, and believe me, we're going to try it out.
Should be all clear.
Well, tell me what's going on with this paint, Jeremy. This looks pretty bad.
Yeah, well, there are a few reasons that can cause this. One's just not good adhesion between the clear coat and the color coat. It's just not making a good bond, you know. The next can be just not a good quality clear. They just don't have the adhesion capabilities as a good clear. And then lastly, and what I believe we have going on here, is just UV damage. Sun just eats away at it over time.
It's been sitting outside for a long time then.
Yeah, I believe it has. And for you guys at home that's got a car that sits outside a lot, a good way to prevent this is just give it a coat of wax a couple of times a year. You may not be in this situation. We say we get it masked up.
All right.
The first thing we're going to do in the prep booth is roughly mask the truck so the good paint won't be covered with sanding dust. We will start by using a DA with 180 grit paper to get rid of the bad clear coat.
Well, after we've gotten up here and started sanding on the roof, we've noticed we've got a couple of dents. Now, since we're already here, we may as well fix them. You go ahead and get that nice shiny paint on there with a couple of dents, well, you're probably going to regret it later.
To work the dents, I'm going to use our Matco stud gun. I'll zap a stud right into the center of the dent and slowly start working it back out with the puller. When you have a dent like this, it usually crowns around the outer edge. So a good tip is while pulling pressure up on the puller, take a body hammer and slowly massage the outer crown back towards the center of the area you're working. This helps the metal go right back where it came from. Once we're happy with the metal, we can spread a skim coat of filler. Next, block down the filler and it's ready for primer.
For primer on NighTrain, we're going to use PPG K38 2K urethane surfacer. Now, this is not a direct-to-metal primer, but since we didn't hit any metal anywhere, it's okay to use this over a well-prepped OE surface. Plus, since we filler worked a few dents up there, we need a good high build to go over the top of it.
I like to spray this in 3 wet coats, and that gives us excellent build to block out any imperfections. Once the primer is fully cured, we can wipe on guide coat and start sanding. After blocking down the primer surfacer with 180, then 320, we can get it in the paint booth and remask.
Now, fortunately for us on this truck and with many older trucks, we have this factory seam line. What that allows for us to do is tape right into it. This way we can base and clear to that tape and you'll never notice it. If we didn't have a factory seam like this, we would probably end up having to paint most of the cab or at least blend in down at the body line. And the rest of the masking on the roof is pretty straightforward. Then the only blending we'll have to do is down the A-pillar. This way the paint transitions evenly. You'll never notice we painted it, and it'll look like a brand new truck. Now, I see a lot of guys that'll fold their masking paper over like this and just stick a piece of tape here. What this can end up creating is a place to hold your trash. So you're blowing your paint and you get air pressure in here and you're blowing dust out all over your paint job. We'll show you a good tip on how to prevent that.
Instead, use smaller pieces and tape over the straight edges after trimming with a razor. Then there are no pockets for the debris to collect and blow back into your paint. I like to do a test spray out on masking paper to make sure the paint is coming out of the gun properly with a nice even flow. I'm also looking for a 10 to 12 inch fan pattern out of the gun. I'm spraying PPG Ocean Blue. I like to spray this at about 30 psi and lay down 3 coats. With a metallic paint, you want to make sure your passes are consistent along with keeping the same distance from the panel. If not, it's very easy to make the paint inconsistent or blotchy. After about a 20-minute flash time, we're ready for clear. Here, we're using PPG 2021, also laying down 3 coats at about 40 psi. This clear has great UV protection, so we won't have this deterioration problem again. We will get it unmasked and out of the booth and take a look at our finished product.
See how you did.
Not too bad.
No, it looks way better.
Looks pretty good. That's just what you can do in a weekend.
Yeah, and your tape lines are hidden, just like you said.
Yep.
I'll keep you around.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Next, hang on to your hats.
Well, man, we're out on the road today in Project NighTrain finally after all this time. And you know what? This truck is a blast to drive. From the outside, you really have no idea what this truck's all about. It just looks like any other 87 Chevy short box, maybe, you know, with a fuel-injected V8.
Yep, I can't tell you how many people have stopped us and said, hey man, that thing got a 350 in it, but you know, it's a total sleeper, and that's what I dig about it. I mean, it's got great looks too. That's another thing I like about it. Not only do we have that modern power now with a diesel and all that torque, but we have that old school look with this old box Chevy, and I really dig the stance since we lowered it with that 2.4 drop. I mean, it's got a nice rake to it.
Absolutely.
Reminds you of that old school truck, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for a 200,000 plus mile motor, this thing is actually very responsive. And you know what? It's almost bone stock too. We've really only got a few mods. We've got a tuner on it, got a custom intake, but it's a stock engine, stock fuel pump, stock turbo, even a stock transmission.
Well, it feels like it has a ton of torque.
Oh, for sure.
Lay it down.
See what it's got.
Yeah,
man, that Curry axle we stuck in the back there, I'm glad we went with a Dana 60 because with the amount of torque this Duramax is putting to the ground, we definitely need it.
Yep.
And when we take it to the track, that air locker just might come in handy.
May have a little trouble getting some traction, but...
Well, you know what? We have 5 different tune settings to choose from, so I think we can find something that we can make stick.
Sure, I say we should try them all.
And lucky for us, Music City Raceway is in our neighborhood. Owner Rick Gonzalez opened up the gates and prepped the track for a few runs down the 8th mile. Well, we put a few miles on Project NighTrain, and we couldn't be happier with how it's turned out. Everything's working perfectly. Now, to really put it through its paces, we've come out to this 8th mile drag strip. We see if we can run some decent times through it.
Yeah, we're super excited. This is the moment we've been waiting for. What do you say we flip for who drives first?
All right, you flip. I'll call it.
Call it in there.
Heads.
Hey, man. At least give me my coin back.
See, it even was heads. We're not here to try and break any records. We're here for a safe, controlled environment where we can throw down the hammer on our diesel half-ton. Let's go. Because after all, that's what you guys do. Drive to work Monday through Friday, and on Friday and Saturday nights to the drag strip to go head-to-head with your buddies for a cold beer and bragging rights. Well, the first run on street tires was pretty good. Spun a little bit out of the hole, so we'll try a softer launch, see if we can get a faster mile per hour. After the first couple runs, I'm actually really impressed for what we've essentially built with a mostly stock motor with almost 200,000 miles on it. It's got the BT Diesel Works tuning in it, which adds a little bit of horsepower. For the most part, a truck that'll put down an 1/8 of a mile drag strip run at about 82 miles an hour. For me, I'm impressed for the first time out. I'm gonna hand the reins over to Jeremy and see what he thinks of it. Man, that feels good.
It pulls good on the big end, man.
82 miles an hour.
82 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Right off the starting line, the truck has really good pull, but I was very impressed when you get about halfway down the track, the truck starts building boost, it just throws you back in the seat. Feels like it's never gonna end.
He got squirrely that time. You can tell he turned up the boost a little bit. Spun right off the line.
All in all, a great day at the track, a satisfying build. Ready?
Yep, hit it.
And a cherry on top to end it.
Woohoo! Yeah, baby. Keep it going. Keep your foot in it. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have no tire left.
Man, you can't beat that.
Watch the tailgate.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a burnout.
That was a little more fun to run it down in a straight line.
Yeah.
Next, an LS cam swap that'll wake up this Silverado.
With Project NighTrain all buttoned up, we proved that you could breathe new life and power into a dual-purpose daily driver. But I will say, a little hard to keep your foot out of it.
I'll send you the bill. Now, we have a pretty cool plan in store for this 2010 Silverado. We're going to take the stock 5.3 and slowly build it up in stages that can be done over a weekend, just like you do at home in your own garage.
Yep, because after all, you do need a set of wheels to get you through the week.
We're calling this project White Noize. It'll be a sport truck with a low-key appearance, but a powerful sleeper that can clean up at the drag strip, but still get your groceries and haul your junk. We're going to rely on forced induction to meet our horsepower goals. But before we get that crazy, we're going to have to upgrade a lot of the parts in the drivetrain to help them withstand the abuse and boost that is coming.
And eventually, the transmission, suspension, and rear axle will get some work. But for today, we're going to do a fairly common upgrade, cam swap.
Let's get it torn down.
Let's do it.
To get the cam out, we have to tear the motor down all the way to the short block. This means the intake manifold, cylinder heads, and exhaust manifolds all have to come out. Normally, on an LS engine, you don't have to remove the heads to do a cam swap, but because we're swapping out the lifters, it all has to go. We'll remove the exhaust manifold on the driver's side and then the coil pack assembly. After moving a few wires out of the way,
LT better thank me for this.
the intake manifold can come out. This is a great time to drain the coolant from the radiator. Next, the fan assembly and radiator will come out. The front of the engine has to be stripped to access the timing cover, so the belt, alternator, power steering pump, and all brackets have to go. Then get the water pump out of the way and remove the air conditioning belts.
Interesting new belt design that doesn't use a tensioner.
Use an LS-specific puller like this one from Matco to remove the harmonic balancer, then the timing cover. Now that we can see the cam, it's almost ready to come out. Back up top, the valve covers come off, then we take the rocker arms and push rods off, keeping them in order with this handy tray from Goodson.
One great thing about having a pickup is, well, you've got a place to store your parts. I've been making fun of LT, telling him he may be a little bit obsessive, but this is the only way to do this. Whether you bag and tag every bolt or just lay it out in a nice clean area as it came apart, this way you'll stay good and organized.
Now, yank off the heads, loosening the bolts in reverse order of torquing them. All you have to do is go a few turns to get the preload off, then you can spin them out.
Pop the gasket off of that. Okay.
The valley tray comes off with the AFM solenoids attached. These are all the solenoids that control the oil flow to the collapsible lifters for displacement on demand. Then we can remove the lifters. Remove the oil pump, then the cam phaser, stock chain guide, then the cam retaining plate. As usual, be very careful not to damage the cam bearings while you remove the cam. This particular 5.3 uses both active fuel management as well as variable cam timing. Now, we are going to be deleting the active fuel management as part of our cam swap and ditching these failure-prone stock lifters. We got a kit from Summit Racing that includes almost everything we need to get the job done, including these stock LS7 style lifters, new stock lifter retainers, as well as this LS3 style valley cover that doesn't have the solenoids for active fuel management. The one thing it does not come with, however, is a cam. We decided to try out this new Stage 2 VVT cam from Comp. By doing so, we'll be able to have a little bit wider power band than we would if we went with a conventional fixed timing cam. In fact, Comp advertises the power band of this cam from 1600 RPM on the low end all the way up to 6700 RPM on the top end. By having variable cam timing in place, we really can have the best of both worlds. The new cam installs into the engine just like the old one came out. Just apply some assembly lube and slide it into place without nicking the cam bearings. Install the cam retaining plate, apply a little Loctite to the bolts, and torque to spec.
One important step when swapping in a high-performance VVT cam is to install this cam phaser limiter from Comp. It restricts the movement of the phaser to about 20 degrees, which prevents piston to valve contact with our more aggressive cam. The limiter installs pretty easily. The first step is to use the supplied spanner and locking tab to relax the tension from the spring and hold it in place while you insert the limiter block. Remove all bolts but one and swing the cover out of the way. The limiter drops in place. Just pay attention and get the orientation correct. Screw it all back together, then release the tension on the spring. Now we're ready to bolt it onto the cam.
With over 150,000 miles, this is a great time to replace and upgrade some of the wear items inside the engine. Summit Racing offers a lot of GM parts, including this new timing chain, VVT bolt, and this Melling high-volume oil pump. All these parts will ensure we can get many more years of service out of this 5.3, along with some peace of mind. We can now reinstall the timing cover and dampener pulley. The new LS7 lifters go in, along with the new lifter retainer trays. Now is a perfect time to install the LS3 valley cover. We're also going to take the time to upgrade the stock valve springs with these Comp Beehives. Our higher lift cam would just be too much for the stock springs, and these Comps will increase the stability of our valve train, especially in the higher RPM range. The kit comes with all the retainers, shims, and even new valve stem seals. The stock LS head bolts are a torque-to-yield design and cannot be reused. Now, they're fine for stock or near stock power levels, but if you're upping the power like we are, you definitely should upgrade to a stronger, reusable fastener like the ones we're putting in from ARP. Reassembly continues with the intake manifold, being careful not to damage the gasket. Next, the power steering pump and bracket reattach to the block. The water pump can slide into place with new gaskets. Next, the radiator and fan can drop back into the core support. Before the rockers go back in, we wanted to upgrade to these Comp 8620 steel trunnions. Install the rocker arms with their new bolts from Comp and tighten to spec. Cover it up with the stock valve covers and ignition coils in their bracket. There's just a few more parts left and we can start it up and check for leaks. All right, hit it. Well, we got the truck running, and I have to say, it runs pretty darn good, even with a stock tune in the computer. Now, I'll have to make a few adjustments with HP tuners, like getting rid of the AFM and adjusting the fuel mixture just a little bit. But overall, these parts from Comp work perfectly together. Now, next time you guys see Project White Noize, we'll be giving it a pretty serious altitude adjustment. Yep, no leaks. We did good.
Anyone with an 88 through 98 Chevy pickup knows that tailgate emblems are hard to come by, and if you do find a decent one in a junkyard, there's a good chance it's slightly pitted. LMC Truck just came out with these tailgate emblems that are brand new and look great, and they're easily applied with 3M double-sided tape. Check out lmctruck.com for yours.
Serious off-roaders never leave the pavement without a quality winch. This is Warren's Xeon 10S that's rated at 10,000 pounds of single line pull capacity. It comes with 100 feet of synthetic Spydura 3/8" winch line that has a heat protective sleeve on the first layer. It comes standard with this remote, but the winch can be configured for optional wireless control. It also has an updated planetary gear set for quick and reliable pulling power. You can check out warren.com for more info. Thanks for watching Truck Tech. We'll see you next time.